Interesting to listen to this because I was born the day before the stock market crashed in 1929.
Okay.
And I lived through and was raised during the Depression.
Mm-hmm.
And it gives you a little different view on things. I mean, you know that
Sure.
things keep rolling along and it gets real bad, then it's a little better, and then it gets bad again.
Sure, and you've probably seen that happen lots of different times.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, one thing, especially you bring that up, is interesting. A lot of the old crowd that was fighting against the New Deal back then is part of the same crowd that is finally getting stuff through now. Like, they knew they couldn't totally take away Social Security all in one thing, and then once Medicare came in, they couldn't crack the whole thing out at once, but they've just been chipping away the whole Milton Friedman, the Chicago School of Economics.
Oh, God, what a nightmare.
Where it's like super free market, everything. Privatize every inch of government and everything besides police and military, basically. And even then, you're using probably private.
Well, now they've got private corporate military that are fighting our war for us.
Yeah.
And we're paying exorbitant amounts of money to have these corporate soldiers fighting. Well, I mean, I got knocked over completely. I did my Navy trip, and at that time, military was military. Nothing outside got involved with the military.
Sure.
Well, now I learned that the military, whether it's the Army, Navy, Air Force, will provide their men one meal a day, not 3 meals a day. They have to buy the other 2 meals a day. And they have corporations preparing the food for them. Whoa.
While those people who are working for those corporations making that food for the soldiers, or in some cases doing the same exact jobs as them, they get paid like 8 or 9 times the amount of money.
Exactly.
So there's this disparity where the soldiers don't like the private soldiers because they're, it's like making, $100 a day compared to somebody who's making $1,000 a day.
Well, that's why there's so many suicides in the military now.
Yeah, no, it's
outrageous.
Oh yeah, no, it's awful. It's awful. I mean, and
that's privatizing. It's
exactly. And we used to think, oh well, death squads are only in Latin America, and these crazy war torn. No. And then again, it goes back to the whole Milton Friedman thing again, because once they saw, like back then, that they couldn't pull off this super crazy free market, privatize everything in America right away, they started trying to do it in other countries. And that ends up being the basis for a lot of the Latin American incursions that we had in the 60s and 70s. And there's probably not one Central or South American country that we didn't, kill their leader or stage a coup or overthrow somebody.
That's how they take over government. The World Bank, IMF, loans Venezuela $300 billion, and they can't make the payment. So then we now start controlling their government.
Exactly. Yeah, and that's it.
The money.
And then the people and then the countries and presidents that don't go for that, that's when we take them down or take them out. Hence the Chile thing, Salvador Allende in the 70s.
Yep.
A guy named John Perkins, and again, it's like stuff like this, people that pay attention know that this stuff has probably happened for a long time, but when someone comes out in front and shows you evidence that it's actually happening, he wrote a book called Confessions of an Economic Hitman.
Yes.
And that's basically what he did.
And he's still alive.
Yeah, yeah.
He opened that can of worms, and that woke a lot of people up.
Oh yeah. Because he basically came right out and said what everybody knew.
Yep.
He was an economist.
Yep.
He was paid through a shell company through the CIA to go to these different countries to say, hey, you should really take on these free market policies. They're great. And then if they didn't like it, I guess you don't need to be around anymore. And it talked about him going to Chile in the 70s and talking to Allende and all this. It's just, it's crazy.
Economic hitmen are hard at work right now in Wall Street.
Oh, yeah.
Well, China's just organizing a new bank to take over the IMF and all of those banks.
Yeah. Well, you
So
look at
then you got China doing it.
who's in charge.
Yeah, that company that they opened on the New York Stock Exchange, that's like their eBay or whatever. I can't think of the name of it, but it was
Alibaba.
Alibaba. Yeah,
Alibaba.
it's like eBay or Amazon, but in China, and
Yeah.
it was the hugest IPO ever. Or what? Yeah. It's,
Well, it's like the corporate domino effect of Wolfowitz, who worked for Bush, who was the kingpin with
oh yeah.